You know that feeling, that kind of gut punch when you suddenly think, maybe the institutions you trust, well, maybe they aren't playing it straight.
Yeah, it feels very current, doesn't it? But if you go back to the 70s, especially after Watergate hit,
Oh, definitely.
that skepticism was just, everywhere, part of the culture.
And right smack in the middle of that, this really fascinating, maybe slightly wild movie comes out.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, that specific 70s paranoia with the 1977 film Capricorn 1.
Right.
Now, first glance, you might think, okay, sci-fi, manned mission to Mars.
But yeah, you'd be missing so much. I mean, the cast alone is incredible. You've got Elliott Gould, James Brolin,
Holbrook, always great.
Sam Waterston, O.J. Simpson even, Karen Black, and Telly Savalas.
Can't forget Kojak. And Peter Hyams directing, which is key.
It really is. So our mission today, our deep dive,
Yeah.
is basically to unpack Capricorn 1.
Yeah, we want to get right into that central conspiracy, what the film was saying about society back then.
And maybe the most interesting part, why it still feels so relevant.
Yeah.
It hasn't lost its edge, has it?
Not at all. We've got some great material here to really dig into it.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The world's watching, totally gripped. Capricorn 1 is launching humanity's first trip to Mars.
Yeah, the film builds that anticipation really well. You feel that sense of, wonder and achievement.
Huge moment.
Yeah.
But then, just as they're supposedly leaving Earth, bam, something's wrong.
Right. The astronauts, that's Brolin, Waterston, and Simpson, they're yanked out of the capsule secretly just before launch.
Pulled out. Okay, and the public isn't told this. What's the official line?
Well, Hal Holbrook's character, Dr. Kellaway, the NASA guy, he gets up there very calm, very collected, and says there's a major problem. Life support system failure. Too risky. Mission scrubbed for safety.
Safety concern. Okay, that sounds plausible on the surface, but that's not the real story, is it?
Not even close. It's just a cover. The real reason, well, it's way more cynical.
Okay, spill it. Why pull him?
Basically, billions have been poured into this space program. Public trust in NASA is shaky after some previous issues. They need a win.
They need Mars.
They desperately need Mars. So the plan, the drastic solution, is to fake the whole landing.
Fake it, not just postpone, but actually fake the entire mission. How would they even?
They take the astronauts secretly, of course, to this remote desert base. It's all dressed up to look like Mars.
Wow.
And they're essentially told, you are going to perform the Mars landing here. For the camera.
Perform it. So they're not volunteers in this. They're being coerced.
Oh, absolutely. The film heavily implies, threats, pressure on them, maybe their families. They're trapped.
So they have no choice but to go along with this massive lie.
Exactly. They know if the truth gets out, it's catastrophic for NASA, for the country, and definitely for them. So reluctantly, they play along.
Okay, so they film the fake landing, broadcast it back. The world cheers. NASA looks great. Problem solved, kind of.
You'd think so, but that's really just where the real trouble starts for the astronauts.
Right, because the actual spacecraft, the empty one.
Precisely. The unmanned Capricorn 1 capsule coming back, it burns up on re-entry, big fireball.
Which normally, without astronauts, would be, an unfortunate equipment loss.
Yeah, a setback. But now, the people running this conspiracy realize, we have 3 guys who know the truth, who should be dead.
So the astronauts become loose ends. Dangerous witnesses.
Exactly. The hoax instantly shifts. It's not just about faking a landing anymore. It's about silencing the only people who can expose it. It becomes a murder plot.
Jeez. Okay, so this is where the journalist comes in. Elliott Gould.
Yep, Robert Caulfield. Played with that perfect sort of dry, cynical 70s vibe by Gould. He starts noticing little things that don't quite fit the official story.
Like what? What catches his eye?
Minor stuff at first. Weird gaps in the telemetry data.
That's the data stream from the capsule, vitals, engine stuff.
Yeah, inconsistencies there, and just odd behavior from some NASA people he talks to. So he starts pulling on these little threads.
And the astronauts, meanwhile, they figure out they're not meant to survive this.
They realize the re-entry accident was maybe not so accidental regarding them. Their fake mission turns into a real escape and survival situation.
So they're running for their lives, hunted by the same guys who put them on fake Mars.
Exactly. And the film just shifts gears beautifully from this political conspiracy thing into a full-blown chase thriller.
Wow. Okay, so you called it a tightly wound 1970s paranoia thriller. It sounds like it absolutely nails that post-Watergate feeling.
Oh, completely. That's the core of it. The sci-fi, the Mars mission, That's almost window dressing.
Right.
The real story is about government lies, media control, and that deep, deep distrust of institutions that was so palpable then.
So it's less about space travel and more about the unsettling idea that what you see on TV might just be a performance.
Exactly. The conspiracy isn't about, aliens or weird space phenomena. It's chillingly plausible because it's about managing public perception, bureaucratic cover-ups, media manipulation. That's what makes it stick with you.
And the tone. You said it balances satire, suspense, political commentary, captures that cynical mood.
Yeah, it does it really well. There are moments that are almost darkly funny because the deception is so audacious, but it's layered with genuine tension and a pretty sharp critique of, the powers that be. It feels very much of that specific time.
Let's dig into those themes more. Government deception is obviously huge. How far does the film suggest they'd go?
Pretty far. I mean, faking the biggest mission in history and then moving towards eliminating the witnesses. It paints a picture of institutions protecting their image and funding at literally any cost.
It really raises questions about accountability, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And then the media manipulation angle. Showing this completely faked event as reality. That must have hit hard back then, before the internet.
Yeah, TV was the window on the world.
And the film just grabs that idea and runs with it, that what's broadcast might be totally manufactured. It makes you think about, well, how much is curated now, even with all our sources?
It feels incredibly relevant today, with deepfakes and everything.
More relevant than ever, probably. The technology changes, but the potential for manipulation, maybe not so much.
And you've got that classic theme, the individual versus the system. The astronauts, the journalist, they're up against this massive machine.
Right. That power imbalance is where a lot of the tension comes from. They're just individuals trying to get the truth out or just survive against, the full weight of the government and its resources. It highlights how vulnerable you can be.
And what about the limits of belief? Does it suggest the public wants to believe something like a Mars landing? Maybe too much?
Yeah, there's a hint of that collective desire for something grand, something heroic.
Yeah.
It can make us maybe less critical of the detail.
We want the amazing story.
Exactly. And the film subtly suggests that maybe authority figures can exploit that desire. It's a critique of just accepting the narrative you're given.
It's really striking how these themes, born from that specific 70s moment, just keep echoing.
Yeah, the post-Vietnam, post-Watergate mood was fertile ground, but the core issues, deception, control, trust, they haven't gone away. Capricorn 1 feels less like a period piece and more like a persistent warning.
Okay, let's talk about the actors. Elliott Gould as Brubaker, the journalist. Dry, sardonic, sounds perfect for that 70s cynical hero.
He's fantastic. He brings this weary wit, but also this real tenacity. He's not like an action hero punching people. His weapon is his brain and his refusal to let go.
Fits the mood perfectly.
Yeah.
And James Brolin, the lead astronaut, with that quiet intensity, he's the emotional center.
Yeah, Brolin really carries the weight of the deception. You see the fear, the anger, the desperation just to get back to his life, to expose the lie. He grounds the whole crazy plot.
And Sam Waterston, bringing wit and heart.
Waterston adds that crucial human touch. You get those moments of camaraderie, shared fear between the astronauts. Makes them feel like real people caught in this nightmare.
And O.J. Simpson. Minimal dialogue, but the loyal teammate. How does he function in the story?
Within the film, yeah, he's the strong, silent type. Part of that astronaut team dynamic. Embodies that loyalty aspect you'd expect in that kind of crew.
Okay, turning to the other side. Hal Holbrook as the NASA official, Kellaway. Calm, chilling, and believable. That sounds effective.
Holbrook is brilliant. He plays him not as a mustache-twirling villain, but as this bureaucrat who genuinely seems to believe the awful things he's doing are somehow necessary.
For the greater good, in his mind.
Exactly. Which makes him much scarier, much more believable. He's chilling because he's so rational about it all.
And Telly Savalas, the loudmouth crop duster pilot, injecting humor and chaos.
Oh, he's a scene stealer. Shows up, larger than life, provides this burst of chaotic energy and, frankly, some hope when things look really bleak for the astronauts. He's just pure, unadulterated Savalas.
It sounds like character depth maybe takes a backseat to plot, action, dialogue.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a thriller. It moves fast. The characters are defined more by what they do in response to the crisis than by deep dives into their past. The dialogue is sharp, gets the job done, keeps things moving.
Okay, let's shift to the look and feel. Peter Hyams' direction, precise, tense, long takes, moody atmosphere. How does that build the paranoia?
Those long takes really lock you in. You can't look away. The tension just builds and builds. And the moody lighting, the framing, it constantly suggests they're being watched, cornered. Even in wide open spaces, it feels claustrophobic.
And using the desert as Mars, that meta commentary about illusion versus reality. Explain that a bit more.
Well, we, the audience, know it's the desert, right? But in the film's narrative, for the world watching the broadcast, it's supposed to be Mars. So that visual difference, seeing this familiar landscape presented as alien, constantly reminds you of the central theme. Things aren't what they seem. It mirrors the bigger fake-out.
And the cinematography, using shadows and surveillance, reinforces that control theme.
Absolutely. Lots of shots framed through windows or with characters partially obscured by shadow. It visually emphasizes that feeling of being monitored, of hidden threats. It makes the whole world of the film feel unsafe.
Creating claustrophobic tension, even in the open desert. How does that work?
It's about isolation. They're exposed, hunted. The vastness isn't freedom. It's just emptiness where danger could come from anywhere. There's no cover, no escape, really. That creates a kind of psychological cage.
And the sound. Jerry Goldsmith's score sprawling, ominous horns versus taut suspense cues.
Goldsmith is a genius at this. He gives you hints of that epic space mission sound, but then immediately undercuts it with these tense, nervous sounds. The music perfectly mirrors the story's shift from, triumph to terror.
And minimalist sound design, focusing on small sounds.
Yeah, instead of big explosions all the time, you really notice things like footsteps on gravel, radios crackling, whispers. It makes the threat feel more real, more immediate. Grounds it, especially against the backdrop of the totally fake Mars broadcast. Really ramps up the paranoia.
Okay. Specific moments. The opening launch, patriotism, and eerie undertones. How do they create that unease early on?
It's subtle. The music might have a slightly discordant note, a look exchanged between officials. Just little hints that maybe this triumphant moment isn't quite what it seems, foreshadowing the darkness to come.
And the Studio Mars set itself. Funny and disturbing.
Yeah. It looks kind of cheap. Deliberately so, maybe. It's funny because it's so obviously fake compared to the scale of the lie, but disturbing because this flimsy set is fooling the entire planet. It's a great visual metaphor.
The crop duster versus helicopter chase sounds like a pure action highlight.
Oh, it's fantastic. Great practical effects, really thrilling. Pits this sort of old-school, low-tech heroics against the high-tech government machine. It's a real standout sequence.
And the ending. Perfect emotional and thematic closure. Without spoilers.
It manages to resolve the immediate plot in a satisfying way, but it doesn't, tie everything up with a neat bow. It leaves you thinking about the core themes. Truth, power, the difficulty of exposing lies. It feels earned.
Okay, but it wasn't universally loved. Some criticisms. Pacing in the desert scenes.
Yeah, some people found the middle section, where the astronauts are just trying to survive in the desert, dragged a little. If you went in expecting nonstop action or more sci-fi elements, that part might feel slow.
And the sci-fi element being lighter.
Right. It's not really about the science of Mars travel. It uses that as a hook, but it's fundamentally a conspiracy thriller. So hardcore sci-fi fans might have felt a bit shortchanged on that front.
Character development being functional. Especially the astronauts.
Yeah, as we said, the plot drives everything. You feel for the astronauts because of their situation, but you don't necessarily get deep, complex psychological portraits of each one. They serve the needs of the thriller plot effectively, but maybe lack that deeper exploration some viewers want.
Okay, so wrapping this up for everyone listening, Capricorn 1 sounds like it's much more than just a dated sci-fi flick. It's this gripping, stylish, and prescient conspiracy thriller.
That sums it up perfectly. It uses that sci-fi setup really cleverly to talk about these very real anxieties about government, media, and truth.
And those anxieties, those themes, they haven't faded. If anything, they feel more potent now.
Absolutely. The film's exploration of deception and control feels, frankly, timeless. Even without flashy effects, it delivers this sharp, entertaining, and chilling meditation on the stories we're sold.
It's a thinker, then. Not just a thriller.
Definitely. It makes you question what you see, what you're told, which is always valuable.
Our source rates it 8.5 out of 10, calls it clever, timely, and underrated gem, and notes it trades ray guns for razor-sharp commentary. High praise.
And deserved, I think. It holds up incredibly well. It's tense, it's smart, and it has something important to say, even almost 50 years later. It really makes you consider how narratives are constructed.
So here's something to chew on. In our world, just flooded with information, where telling the real from the fake can be incredibly hard. How do we actually do that?
Yeah.
How do we spot the difference between genuine exploration, whether it's space or anything else, and a story that's just built for us?
Mm-hmm. That's a $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah. And what does all that blurring mean for our trust? Trust in the media and science and government, all those big institutions. It's definitely something Capricorn 1 leaves you thinking about.